Spiritual Teaching 233. Love each other. 1. The light of my spirit be with you. 2. Disciples who are struggling with yourselves, who aspire to spiritual eternity, who are not satisfied with your works, prepare yourselves, because although it is true that you have not achieved what your spirit longs for, nor have you been contemplating the fruit of your labor, I tell you that you have achieved elevation and advancement. This you are going to confirm in that life that awaits you, in which you will have full knowledge of your spiritual progress. That will be where you feel that love of the Master has truly infiltrated your being, and that the feeling of charity towards those who suffer has been refined in your spirit. That will be the harvest collected by you after the different reincarnations that you have had. 3. The spiritual valley will be populated with spirits of light, whose virtues will be at the service of the good and the progress of humanity. 4. Those in this world who really prepare and carry out their mission with true charity and love will not aspire to contemplate the realization of his work, to hear the clamor of triumph, because whoever aspires to this still has a lot of matter and very little spirit. 5. If I have told you to give your flesh the importance and place it has in your destiny, I have shown you to know how to guide it so that it is an instrument for your improvement, because it is your spirit that has to reach me. 6. See how simple my doctrine is in all its phases. That is why I tell you never seek to complicate it. See how I facilitate the way to meet her. More, as I see that you understand my teaching, I make you feel the responsibility that you acquire with it. The more ignorant of my teaching a man finds himself, the less his responsibility is. 7. Why are there those who, having been with me, abandon me? Why do they change me for satisfactions that harm your spirit? And when I catch up with them on their way and call them, they arrive in their ingratitude to tell me, they have neither seen nor felt me. How soon they have thought they had forgotten him who walks with them step by step, him who has accompanied in the hours of trial and in the vicissitudes, who has carried in those instants the tormented heart. The celestial harmony of my caress and of my divine peace says to him, come to me, rest in me, follow me, I am the heaven that you see. At that moment, that heart has felt overwhelmed with emotion because it has verified that man does not walk alone on his way, and a prayer of love has come out of him which is thanksgiving to the Master. It is possible that someone can forget these tests of my love. Is it possible that after receiving them there is someone who denies having sense? 8. You who are listening to me ask me, Master, how can I know what is good and what is bad? To which I answer, I am divine justice, and as justice I manifest myself in each one of you through means of the consciousness that is the light of my divine spirit. That is the voice of God within man. And in man there are faculties that enable him to interpret and understand that voice, its calls and its judgments. You cannot justify that you do not know the path of good, which is the law of love and justice. What are those faculties or attributes that allow man to hear the voice of his own guide and judge? Intuition, reason, feelings. 9. That is why whoever does wrong is not lacking ears to hear that voice. It is that he has closed them, not listening to your own judgment. It is not that he does not have eyes to contemplate the good path. It is that he voluntarily makes you blind to walk the path you have created of your own free will. 10. I say to you, why silence the sweet and harmonious voice of God that speaks to you through your consciousness, if it always guides you with certainty on the path of good? 11. It is often the flesh that, like a dense veil, does not allow you to see the light of truth. That is why I tell you that you will hear that voice clearly when you are free from matter. And that moment can be that of the supreme happiness for the spirit, which reach the fulfillment of its mission on earth, or also that of infinite pain, when checking your faults and seeing your spots, which will make you want a new body, like an opportunity to start the road. There the justice of the Father, whose principle is love, is manifested in power, granting the Spirit one more human body, where it can fulfill its destiny. 12. Like that one, how many opportunities have I entrusted to each one of you so that at the end of time you will reach my bosom, since as children you belong to me. But I do not want you to come to me only through my charity and love, but also be it for your merits, so that you become worthy of owning and contemplating all the greatness of my work. 13. Truly I tell you, there is more joy in heaven at the arrival of a converted sinner, that if 100 righteous enter. It is the triumph of good against evil, when the spirit fallen in darkness recovers its greatness. 14. I come to speak to you in this way to destroy in you all those fanatical beliefs that hindered your path of spiritual evolution, since my doctrine had not been clearly exposed to you by its interpreters. 15. People, be strong in the face of pain, and when you come to understanding, you will thank me for having tested you. 16. Come close to me and listen to me, for in my word I will sustain you spiritually. 17. My teaching at this time has worked the miracle of raising you up in multitudes eager for light. 18. In the silence of your hearts you have listened to me and rested from the long roads, from which you bring your harvest, your fatigue, and your pains. 19. What the world is hungry for is real love and peace. 20. Bring the union where discord reigns, the light where confusion exists, morality where sin, and balm where there is pain. 21. Then you will be the clean mirror that is your consciousness, where my divine lesson is reflected and where humanity beholds your imperfections. 22. Great is your destiny among humanity. That is why I have come to teach you, so that you do not have any stumbling block or a cause for your brothers to judge you. 23. Make your body a humble servant who will never come between your spirit and mine, that he know how to surrender the worship that touches him, and let your spirit elevate the worship that corresponds to it. 24. Well understood spirituality will give you strength and health. 25. Since the beginning of time, the emissaries of law and doctrine of the Spirit have found the man of science as an adversary, and between great struggles have been fought for each other. And the time has come for me to tell you something about these controversies. 26. I made this world to serve as a temporary abode for incarnated spirits, but before they come to populate it, I prepared you with the gifts of understanding and will, with my light in your consciousness. I knew in advance the destiny and evolution of my creatures. I deposited it on earth, in its entrails, in its surface, and in its atmosphere, all the elements necessary for the conservation, sustenance, development, and even the recreation of the human being, but so that man could discover the secrets of nature as a source of life, I allowed his intelligence to awaken. 27. And thus the principle of science was revealed to man, the gift of which you all possess, although they have existed always men of greater capacity, whose mission has been to extract from nature the secret of its forces and elements for the well-being and joy of humanity. 28. I have also sent great spirits to earth to reveal to you spiritual life, that which is discovered about this nature, beyond science. And through these revelations, the existence of a universal, powerful, creator, omnipotent and omnipresent being, who reserves an existence to the man after his death, the eternal life of the Spirit. 29. But bringing some spiritual missions and other scientific missions, they have risen up in conflict against each other, conflicting at all times, always as enemies, religions and science. 30. Today I tell you that matter and spirit are not opposing forces. Between both must exist harmony. Light are my spiritual revelations, and light are also the revelations and discoveries of science. But if you have heard from me how much I censure the work of scientists, it is because many of them have taken of nature, its energy, its elements and forces previously unknown, for perverse purposes of destruction, of hatred and revenge, of terrestrial domination and excessive ambition. 31. I must tell you that, in those who have carried out their mission with love and good ends, in those who respectfully and humbly have penetrated my sanctuary, I have pleased myself by revealing great mysteries in benefit of my daughter, humanity. 32. Science, from the beginning of the world, has made humanity walk along the path of material progress, in whose path and at every step man has been finding the fruits of science, sweet ones, better others. 33. This is the time when you must understand that all light belongs to my spirit. All that is life belongs to my divinity, because I am the arcanum, the source and the principle of all creation. 34. Those struggles of the spiritual against the scientific will disappear from men, to the point of uniting the spirituality to science in a single light that illuminates the path of man to infinity. 35. You begin to prepare that time, because spiritualism has a universal mission to perform. He will be the one to reveal to all men the true light. 36. Conceive a humanity that consecrates its science and its talent at the service of itself, that without fanaticism or idolatry, render worship pleasing to God. May even the pleasures be wholesome and their joys healthy to the body and the spirit, and you will have a new world, morally, scientifically, and spiritually elevated. The life of all will be respected, and they will not have their own, because those men who are not masters of themselves, and that I am the sole owner of everything. 37. Designated are those who have to dwell in the world in those times of grace. And what was a valley of tears, a field of destruction and death, will be turned into a valley of peace. 38. It will be a propitious time for the development and flowering of the gifts of the Spirit. Then science will not impose itself on the advancement of the Spirit, but I will grant them to penetrate even more in my arcana, where I will reveal great mysteries for the benefit of humanity. 39. My spirit will recreate itself as always, with the good works of my children, whether spiritual, scientific, or fruits of his sensitivity to beauty. 40. This people will prepare the way, but you, with the eyes of your body, will not contemplate that time. 41. From among you no redemptive call will arise, not even unifying of this people. It will be my word to that one to redeem. 42. At the end of my communication in 1950, I want to appear at your shrine. There in your heart, it will be for me, the throne of love that my people prepare for me. You don't want me to appear on a cross, on a scaffold, or in court. 43. Do not let time erase these words so that you can form with them the great album of wisdom of your Father. 44. Pray, speaking to me with the Spirit, since the voice of your matter does not resonate in glory. 45. While some present themselves in spirit, because they could not come together with their matter, others present me only to their body, since his spirit is far away, engaged in materiality, and I have told you that to hear me it is necessary to prepare. But I want my light, like spiritual manna, to descend wherever my children are. 46. I will prepare for that day a feast, for those who live on earth, and those great multitudes of spirits that live in the hereafter. 47. I come to greet you in the light of the book of the 7 seals. Elijah at this time prepared the human understanding for my communication. Since then you have been discovering in my work a new revelation. Some gave a fair interpretation to my teaching. Others twisted their meaning, and when the time came for the people to branch out into congregations or precincts, each acted in the manner in which it had been taught by they that were going ahead. 48. When you began to hear my word, the number of my listeners was small. Among them were men and women, adults and children. That little gathering grew into a town, and then I revealed to him that spiritually it was Israel which was hidden and scattered throughout the world. Time passed and the crowds multiplied. Then I called the congregation because I made them discover that their hearts lived apart, that there was no union or harmony. 49. My word was manifested glorious, and my heart opened like an ark, where the law and the promises flow. Before her the people bowed their necks, and lifting their right hand, and they swore to follow the Father. They swore to unify themselves. Unforgettable was my word of that day, because it was written in the conscience of the people, just as the promise of this people was taken as a new covenant before the divine Spirit. 50. Since then you have been fighting for your union, so that a single light and a single worship may be in hearts. But this pact, not everyone respected it. Not everyone endorsed the ideal of union and spirituality, and that has caused whirlwinds and hurricanes over this town, making it weak at times. Today I see that while some struggle to maintain clarity, purity, and simplicity of this doctrine, others, not understanding this purity for lack of spirituality, have been contaminating it with strange rites and with influences from various religions. 51. I brought to the disciples of this time a doctrine whose content is the essence of what Moses taught, of what Jesus poured out on humanity, and what my Spirit comes to reveal to you. But I have contemplated how there has been among you those who have hidden my truth, to be able to rise as lords and kings before their peoples. If they could, they would wear a crown on their head, a cloak on their shoulders, and a scepter in their right hand. But in the absence of it, they humiliate their brothers, and they like to receive tribute, flattery, and praise. 52. Men come to my precincts day after day. New multitudes and new disciples are increasing this people. If they come to a place where my children are concerned about showing the goodness and purity of my work, they are filled with light and glorified. But if they get to where vanity and passions nest, they become confused, and thus confused, they continue on their way. How can they stop the chaotic advance of those workers who go before the crowds? How can you show the world that it is not a sect or a new religion, but the eternal law, the light of the divine Spirit, doctrine made to lead men to the perfection of their spirit? 53. If from the beginning you had understood the essence of my doctrine and its purpose, there would not be so many confused on the way. You believed that your gifts were for your earthly satisfactions, and you let the light of my word go out when it reached hearts. The spokesmen have passed my word from the first to the last of the enclosures, making their throats hoarse, so that at least the intensity of his voice would awaken and impress your hardened heart. 54. You have seen the congregations become unknown due to their diversity of criteria and concepts, and you have remained insensitive, trying nothing to avoid that division. Sometimes you want to get up claiming your peoples to teach them. But what can you teach them if you know nothing? 55. I know that those who have suffered and struggled to demonstrate my doctrine with complete clarity are crying at this moment when they hear these words. They ask me for forgiveness and strength to continue in the gap, and I give everyone forgiveness, strength, and light. I bless the humble, but those who are not, I say, be humble. Do not forget that I have compared you with the prodigal son of my parable, who after squandering his inheritance far from his father's house, when he saw his empty hands and his exhausted and naked body, he returned home in search of his father's arms. He received him and made a feast for the happiness of having his son back with him. Then that son became humble, obedient and loving towards his father, because the pain of his faults had made light in his heart. But to you, whom I have said that I have received in this time like the prodigal son, do you think it is fair that after having feasted upon your rival, having sat down to my table and having showered yourselves with graces, will you fill yourself with vanity and rule over my house? 56. My word has managed to move your heart, and in it some form the purpose of improving their works, and the other the purpose of amendment. I tell you, the time of purification has arrived. Go to the bosom of your congregations and develop the gifts with which I have graced each one of you. It is my wish that so many imperfection and desecration cease. 57. Analyze my words, meditate on them, and then get up with the firm intention of correcting mistakes, correcting imperfections and debugging practices. Pray and watch. It is still time to exterminate the bad seed, to sow the good one and to collect its fruit. 58. In the depths of the spirit of every man, in the depths of his being, there is an infinity, an arcane, a mystery, a sanctuary, and there is the Father. But that sanctuary is closed because man does not know himself. 59. There is not a single religion or sect that is prepared to raise true worship to me. 60. Do not make material fasts or sterile sacrifices to please me. Do not do anything that does not belong to the worship that you must render to your Father. 61. Offer me your spirit, the beats of your heart that are your life. And if you want to fast, stay away from the superfluous and unnecessary for your spirit and matter. Separate yourselves from all low passion, from all sin. This I do receive a sacrifice because it is for the benefit of you and of future generations. 62. If you want to give me an offering, present your merits of patience, forgiveness, love of each other, of dominion over your passions, of spirituality. That will be the offering that reaches my divine spirit. 63. True spirituality is that which places your spirit in its proper place and your matter, with all its senses, in its due sight. 64. True spirituality is freedom for your spirit on its path and for your flesh on its path. May your matter not invade the ways of the spirit, nor your spirit convert to materialism. My peace be with you.